got that heat.
Welcome to another edition of the Lakers Locker Room. I'm your co-host, Tajon Graham. Unfortunately for this episode, my boy Jason could not make it, but hey, last season I did like 4 or 5 episodes by myself, so not a problem. I'll hold it down for both of us. But today we got a great guest. He used to go to Nipissing. He's currently up in Germany right now playing professional volleyball, so really excited to have him on. Please welcome to the Lakers Locker Room, Cameron Branch. Cameron, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing really well. I'm super excited to be here today to speak with you about, whatever that may be. And, I've seen, lots of everything on Instagram and you interviewing many people, many athletes, and, it's a great thing that you have going. So I'm very excited to be a part of this as well.
And thank you for coming. I know right now you're up in Germany right now, which is a 6-hour difference, which is crazy. So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come talk to me today. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, man.
So let's get right into it. So we're over halfway through 16 months with the pandemic and quarantine and everything. I'm really curious to hear from your perspective. How did you personally handle quarantine? What are some things that you learned about yourself that you're going to take with you moving forward?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this has been really difficult for most of us and definitely tested who we are as individuals and how we respond to adversity. On a personal note, I usually, no matter if it's a rainy day, if it's a sunny day, if it's COVID, I like to do things that are going to help better me. And so, I still was, engaging in a regular exercise routine. I was still trying to eat, healthy, nutritious foods, and trying to stay connected. Obviously we couldn't stay connected face to face for some time, but reaching out to people via, Instagram and things like that really helped me to stay both mentally and physically healthy. And so, exercise, nutrition, as well as maintaining social connection was really, really important for me to overcome this pandemic.
Mm-hmm. As someone who studied health and exercise psychology, it's safe to say that just looking at social media, a lot of people obviously took a mental health hit due to the pandemic. A lot of people that are really accustomed to certain stuff, whether it's going to the movie theaters, just going out, working out, a lot of people were affected in different ways regarding mental health. Now, as someone who's really studied in that field, would you say you personally had issues with your mental health or you were able to thrive through the pandemic?
Mm-hmm. There's definitely like ups and downs to it, right? I felt that, there was some, from a more positive light, I think that it allowed me to explore things that maybe I wouldn't have explored in previous pandemics, such as, walking. I was walking all the time and really just embracing that and going out and being in North Bay, right? We still were able to use some of the trails that North Bay is, that the city of North Bay has. And so I really enjoyed just engaging in low intensity exercise opposed to what I'm used to and you're used to is going to a gym and lifting really heavy weights and so forth. So I found a lot of joy in walking and just calisthenic workouts with my body weight and things that I had around the house. And also, on the other side was, there was definitely some times where I was really missing my family. I was missing my friends, missing going out and having a good time with, just going to a nightclub or just having some of that more face-to-face social interaction. And really everyone's days look differently. And so, in the field that I'm in, a lot of my associations are face-to-face with personal training. And so I had to move a lot of my work onto online. And so we had to navigate through what that looked like and try to figure ways to still keep people engaged in health and exercise by providing virtual training programs as well as nutrition education. And so despite this pandemic, I was still able to remain, to overcome adversity and remain resilient by finding different avenues online.
I think that's the thing that it really comes down to. I think it really just comes down to perspective. A lot of people, like I said, like some people thrive through quarantine, some people struggle through the quarantine. I think the simplest way to put it was just finding the positive in the situation. Like a lot of people took the opportunity, hopefully, to find something that they can be better at, take the time to self-reflect and say, okay, what I got to do to be a better person, be a better athlete, be a better painter, writer, whatever the case may be. So I'm really fortunate that I had that opportunity from my end to like really see what I can do to become better. And I'm just hoping that moving forward now that a lot of people were able to take this quarantine and pandemic to really put things into perspective, like I said at the beginning, because I think that a lot of people got really comfortable in the situation. I feel like a lot of people were comfortable with the stuff that's going on in their life, the stuff that's going on in society, and that we saw with obviously all the stuff that happened last year, that there's a lot of things that needs to be improved. The question I have for you is, what's the biggest thing that you learned, or actually, my real question is, what's now that the quarantine hopefully is ending and you're moving on, what's something that you realize you probably took for granted before that you'll never take for granted again because you had this time to, the quarantine maybe it's been taken away before?
Hmm. I would like to. I think the biggest thing was just the social interaction component of being able to be with friends and gather in a social group setting. And so, one thing that I really enjoy, and this comes from my nutrition background, is getting together with people over food and just being able to have like a potluck type style of dinner. And so that was one thing that that made me realize that I really miss that, and I don't ever want that to end again, because food brings people joy and happiness,
Right.
And so that was tough. So I think that might be really different than someone else's perspective, but for me, I think that played a big, or took a big toll on me in my, I guess, mental health.
For sure.
Mhm.
Like I said in the intro, right now you're currently in Germany playing professional volleyball right now. So obviously, you at the time of this recording, you just got there not too long ago. So how has the adjustment been so far? Going back to Europe, the scene, practicing all that. How's it been for you?
Man, so I think, I decided that in 2020 that I would stop my professional volleyball career and pursue, my passion in health and exercise psychology, but and complete my master's. But during that, that month and a half or that year and a half, I was just like, I need to compete. I need to play volleyball again. And so, being back here for this week and a little bit has just made me realize how much I miss the game, and how motivated I am to be back here, and how privileged I am and grateful that I have this opportunity again. And who knows, I might not be here in this situation if COVID did not exist, right? So, I was able to stay in shape over COVID. I was able to maintain a high level of volleyball IQ, which gave me this opportunity. So I'm very grateful, very excited for the season. I've met most of my teammates, and they just seem, very, very nice, very accepting and encouraging. And the community as a whole is very volleyball oriented. So I think we'll have a really good social support here in Schutorf.
For those who, like myself, I'm currently in university, and for those who are trying to aspire to be professional, so this is not just a volleyball question. This is a very generic question. Based off your experience and obviously playing professional for some time now, what advice would you give for someone who's currently in university who are aspiring to make the pros in terms of the successful transition, in terms of, it's whether, preparing yourself mentally, preparing yourself for the game, the schedule. I'm pretty sure when you graduate from university and you go to, playing professional basketball, volleyball, soccer, it's a whole different lifestyle. So some people take time to adjust to, and some people take or adjust right away. So just based off your experience, what are some advice you would give for current student athletes at university looking to make that successful transition into professional, whatever sport they play in when it's done?
Mm-hmm. I wish I had one answer for you, Tejan, and that I could just say, okay, do this and you'll be here in my shoes. But
give me a couple.
I think that, yeah. So I really think that it's a multifaceted, answer. And so, in simple forms, I think that, if I could speak about the nutritional aspects, so, making sure that we're eating some good quality food, and, and every, I like to speak about everything in moderation. So yeah, it's okay if you want to go to McDonald's on a weekend once per month or whatever. Just it all fits in there. Just not trying to eat McDonald's every single day for 365 days of the year.
Right.
And so look at your nutrition. Make sure you're eating some good quality foods. Secondly, I think tapping into some of those mental skills training components. So one thing that I really like to do is just diary and like have a journal, and I do like a daily journal practice, and I write down what I'm grateful for and things that I want to do, such as goal setting. So I have like daily goals that I'd like to set, and also you can have seasonal goals and things like that. So nutrition, mental skills, also just from a sports specific perspective is make sure that you're learning the game. and looking at video and analyzing your own video, other people's videos, and making sure that you're trying to study the game, not just play it. I think that's a really, really big component. And the fourth thing is have fun. I find that I think a lot of us put too much pressure on ourselves to reach a certain level, and then we take away, we kind of forget about that we have the privilege and the opportunity to play a sport, right? We have the opportunity to play it, an OUA, whereas a lot of people in other parts of the world don't have this opportunity. And so, take it as you have a privilege. You're able to compete with some of your best friends on the court, on the field, on the ice. And my philosophy goes back to when I'm struggling and things like this, or I'm having a bad game or just a bad month in general. I look back to my high school career when it wasn't all about stats and statistics and making it to the next level, but it was just about having fun with my friends and trying to win and doing the best that we can before we complicate it, right? Before it got complicated with the OUA sport. So fourthly is just really have fun. And those are some of the key things that I think about and kind of what I would say to the up and coming next generations of potentially professional athletes. And the last thing, just to close this question off, is I think that there is also a preconceived notion that professional sports in Europe is better than OUA sports. This is not to say that the level is the same, because the level is definitely different in Europe compared to the OUA. But I think that from an organizational perspective, that in the OUA, universities have a lot more resources, such as access to athletic therapy. They have top of the line gyms and facilities, strength and conditioning rooms, change rooms, things like that. Whereas in Europe, some of the clubs, and depending on the level of the league that you are, don't have that much access to those resources.
Okay.
So for those athletes that are thinking that it's green on the other side, it might not necessarily be, and that to really embrace the OUA experience, because that is quite professional when comparing some of these professional organizations in Europe compared to Canada and the USA.
Right. I definitely want to touch on something you just said, because this is something I thought about too. Now that I'm in my third year of my program at Nipissing, being on the men's basketball team, I've taken the opportunity, like we said in the first topic about quarantine, to really see what I can do to get better. And one of the things I realized was that you really got to turn your losses into lessons. So basically all the stuff that I did my first year that I did wrong, I'm hoping to give that to the the young people on my team. One of the things that you said that I've been thinking about too is, like you said back in high school, where you just said, just have fun. And I really think contributes to what I would been thinking to myself in terms of some of the things I would tell the new guys is basically three things to be successful, student athlete: work hard, enjoy the process, but most importantly, always put the team first. Because a lot of people can go on bad teams, put up a lot of stats, and then you can go on a good team, come off a bench, be a team player, and then you have a chance to win championship. Like, which one do you want? So I feel like I feel like that also can attribute to being a successful professional athlete too, in terms of just having to understand that it's not always about you. Like, you might be great at this level, and then you might need to go on a level and you start from zero. Like, another mistake that I made my first year was that I was 19 years old. So coming from high school and winning 2 championships in high school and playing prep for a year, I wasn't trying to, but looking back, and I realized I kind of came in a little bit entitled, thinking that, I deserve to play, I'm this, I'm that. And then I came to university and I realized that, a lot of, there are guys ahead of you for a reason, right? Like, you can't just come in here and take the top spot, think you're this, think you're that. Like, you have to start from zero and work your way up. It's kind of the same thing when you go to professional, right? Because a lot of people in their last years can, youth sports player of the year, defensive player of the year, whatever the case may be. Then once you go to professional level, like, that doesn't matter. Like, you're starting from zero. Like, all these people that are on your team were the best at wherever they would be. So I just really think that's a point that I think, and you can probably test this too, like, once you come to a new level, you have to have the mentality that you started from zero. Like, who cares about your stats? Absolutely. Who cares about your, I'm looking for the word right now. What's the word? Who cares about your resume? Because once you get to a new level, you start at zero.
Yeah, so what's the question specifically? Are you asking me about, starting from zero, being a good teammate? I'll touch on the being the good teammate aspect. I think that's incredibly important, and I'm happy that you came to realize that. I think that even like a lot of athletes in your position don't realize that till much later in their career. Maybe even when they're 30 or 40, when the whole experience is over and done with,
Yeah.
and you have some years of eligibility left. So, taking that into consideration and really, I think, Eric Young, as you know, my former coach at Nipissing University, one of the biggest lessons he taught me is that, I don't think that your teammates are going to remember that 3-pointer you made to win the championship, but they're going to remember how you made them feel during that championship game. Were you uplifting? Were you energetic? Were you being supportive? I think that pays more tribute to, being a good teammate than per se just putting stats on the board or something like that. And I think that if we go back to this whole thing about social connection and being supportive of one another, that's going to mean more to somebody than, like you said, winning a championship, winning a game, winning an MVP, right? It's the social interaction that really matters in this life, at least from my perspective. Right. And I'm sure you maybe, see the same eye to eye on that philosophy as well.
1000%. So you touched on it just now, but you went to Nipissing. I think researching, you went there from 2013 to 2018, if I'm correct, right? Those 5 years?
Yeah, exactly.
When you look back at your time at Nipissing, what resonates with you the most? Is it, the community? Is it the experience? Is it the locker room? Like when you look back at your time at Nipissing for you personally, what comes to mind?
Honestly, everything positive. Obviously, there was some, maybe I had a bad season or, I had some life lessons that I learned. But when I look back from a global perspective, I think nothing but positive thoughts. I had an incredible experience in the classroom. My professors were all super supportive of me as a student and as an athlete. My teammates, my coach, my head coach, Eric Young, was phenomenal. The culture there at Nipissing Lakers men's volleyball is fantastic. And, I just wish the best. And, I'm always maintaining connection with my teammates, the alumni, as well as still maintaining a role within the Lakers men's volleyball as a nutritional coach and doing some strength and conditioning liaison. So, and also with the, being a graduate, previous graduate student, and always making sure that everyone's okay in that program, and always reaching out to, first and second year students to see if they need help or anything like that. So, because I had that going into Nipissing and all through my 5 years, other people looking after me and making sure I'm okay. Now I'm just continuing that kind of that role. And now people that are, I guess younger than me, first and second, third year and so forth, I'm reaching out to make sure that they're okay. If it, it's just like, I feel like it's just this positive environment at Nipissing, right. And it's just a really safe community. And something like this podcast, right? This is something that's growing, and I think it's a really something added value to Nipissing University, and it creates that more of that sense of usness and we-ness, right, in this small, tight-knit community. And so what you're doing with this podcast, I think, is bringing people closer together than previous years. I mean, Nipissing, I'm not trying to say that Nipissing was far apart in any capacity, right, but I think this is just helping us form that identity even greater. So,
yeah, and I really appreciate doing this podcast, because I've seen like the positive reaction from it, because sometimes I'll think to myself like, dang, did I really do a good episode? Or are people really interested? And then I'll hear people say, hey, that was a really good episode, or hey, I really enjoyed this person. And even though Jason's not here, but me and Jason talk about it all the time. Like the point of the podcast was really, or taking over the podcast, was just really have thought-provoking conversations like this. Like, obviously it was a pleasure to meet the guys that ran it previously, and obviously now that they're gone. So I really wanted to make sure, and Jason included, that when we took this over, that we really wanted to take it to the level. So hearing you say what you just said really shows the appreciation, because it shows that we're doing exactly what we set out to do, which is take it over, have thought-provoking conversation, invite anyone on who has a story, and just the most important thing to me, like how we're doing right now, is just I want you to be comfortable. Like I don't want things to be sugarcoated. I don't want people to think that they have to walk on eggshells. Like if you have a story, please say it. Like I'm not going to cut you off. I'm not going to say you're this, you're that. Like, and I really appreciate you saying that, because it just really confirms, exactly what we're doing. But staying on the topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Appreciate that. So staying on the topic, we talked about this last year on our senior send-off series. When you were coming into your first year of university to, the last day, your last game when you have senior send-off, your senior night, that's a really big transition from your first year to your last year, being from 19 to 24, 18 to 23, wherever the case may be. From your first year until the day that you left Nipissing, what would you say was the biggest aspect of your life that you really evolved as a person?
I think that if the one word to describe my transformation would be confidence. I think that coming into my first year, I really lacked in many things. I think we all kind of, you're starting to learn who you are as a person and things like that. And one of the biggest things coming out of high school into university is I didn't really know who I was, and was really incompetent. I didn't really know how to speak in front of crowds. I really didn't know, how to. So I think that is the biggest thing that I learned, was just how to be confident and be confident and really work, but confident, but I worked for it, right? I wasn't just cocky. I had to work for that, right? And so what I meant by that is, studying very hard for my tests and being a good academic, being a good student, working hard to receive accolades by, putting in 100% in the weight room and in practice and so forth. And that ultimately led me to be confident. And that was, and also with the master's work, the reasons why I went to pursue a second, farther education with a graduate degree was because I still wanted to be more confident when developing presentations and being able to read research articles and so forth. So I just think this has been a huge journey of building confidence. And I think that's what really university is. I think that it helps you become confident in your field of study, helps you to become a confident teammate, friend, professional at the end of the day. And so I think that for those, listening to this podcast that are in their first years coming into Nipissing, that, work hard and the confidence will come.
Yeah.
Confidence, you can't really get confident when you don't put in that 100%. Right. And so to kind of put this into something that might relate to other people was that, yet again, something that I learned from Eric Young was, nervousness, right, before a big match. You really can't get nervous if you put in 100% that week leading up, right? Nervousness comes from not being confident. But if you put in 100% during those days leading up to that game, that big game, you can be confident that you've done everything you could to control what you can control, right? So I think that might be able to resonate with other people listening into this podcast, and something that definitely, even at this level here in Germany, playing professional, I still continue to try to build that confidence and foster that in myself from a weekly perspective.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to congratulate you on receiving your Master of Science in Kinesiology. That's a really big accomplishment. So that leads me to the next topic, brand sports performance. Talk to me about it. What is it? How did you start it? Why did you start it?
Yeah, thank you very much for the thank you. Appreciate that, man. Brand sports performance was something that came out of the pandemic, really, because I was having to transition everything online, and then I realized that I think that I want to get into being able to help cultivate athletic performance in the next generation of athletes. And so brand sports performance allowed me to put kind of like a brand out there for any aspiring athlete that wants to look at bettering themselves from a strength and conditioning perspective, from a nutritional perspective, that this is a safe space. They can reach out to me and I can provide, education on them, or provide them whatever they may be in the broad umbrella of sports. And so really it taps into strength and conditioning programming. It taps into nutrition education, and hoping that in the next years that it can also evolve into mental skills training as well, to really tap into the four pillars of athletic performance. So we have mental skills training, we have nutrition, strength and conditioning, and also technical aspects of performance in sport specific constructs.
I first want to say, I think it's crazy that a lot of these businesses that I'm getting to know, people who started business, including myself, started through the pandemic. Like, this is what I talked about earlier. Like, a lot of people took the opportunity to see what they can do to get better, and you took the opportunity to start this. So congratulations on that. I think it's phenomenal. Just going back to the origin, like, where did your passion for nutrition come from?
So the story that I kind of have ongoing is that, I remember Dr. Brenner Bruner one day had said in third year health class, Cam, you're spending like $13 or $14 on quinoa bowl, you know, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, it's good for me. And so I always knew that, you know, it was good that I ate healthy so I performed well in the court. But I realized that I was broke financially at the end of my 5-year athletic career.
Right.
So after that, when she had made it, she just said that the one day, and it really stuck with me. And then I started to like make food on my own and save a ton of money. And so that's kind of where it all started. And so it really just comes from like I knew from I think my degree that nutrition plays a key role in performance, and also my family played a huge role in shaping that. I remember like on big track and field meets, my mom would cook me a giant pasta meal before. My great grandmother and grandmother Eva and Teresa would always fuel me. Specifically, my grandmother would always create these massive smoothie bowls for me. And so it started in my childhood, really, but I didn't really understand the principles of it until I got to university. And then when I was financially, you know, wow, I need to start making my own meals and so forth, that I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And so, you know, and then, you know, talking with, you know, up and coming, you know, youth athletes as well as athletes at the OUA level, I realized really quickly that this was consistent across the board. Like a lot of people don't really understand nutrition.
Yeah.
They don't really understand how to cook. But it's such a key component to optimal performance and recovery. And so I think really the passion is just to teach athletes how to fuel themselves properly so they can maintain a high level of play for a long period of time. Right. And so that's a little bit about the history about, you know, my involvement with nutrition and where my perspective is coming from.
For someone who was fortunate enough to know a little bit how to cook when I was in my first year, this question, I'm still curious to hear about the answer, but I do know a lot of people who come into their first year not knowing, like you said, the importance of nutrition, right? Like a lot of people come in, you know, they'll order out, go to, you know, Subway, Wendy's, McDonald's, all that type of stuff, just because it's comfortable. Now, for those who are really trying to take it seriously to really improve their eating choices, to improve the performance, like for me personally, I just started doing meal prep at the time of this recording, and meal prep's been really, really good. Like I've really seen the improvement. I've really seen, like, first of all, it cuts a lot of time because when I was my first year, like I had 8 to 10 PM practices. Like I coming home and cook, I'm realized like, I don't want to keep cooking at nighttime. Like I'm too tired. I got class the next day. Like I don't want to cook tonight. So that's when I started doing meal prep. But the question I have for you is, for those who are coming in looking to do meal prep, really looking to improve their eating habits, to improve the performance, what should they look for specifically? What are some tips that you can give for, say, the 19-year-old freshman looking to start doing meal prep and improving their eating habits?
Yeah. And so this is one of those things that we could go in so many directions with this question. And so maybe I can give you a couple tidbits of where we could start. So I think that first and foremost, if we look at this from a financial perspective, is that you will save more money going to the grocery store and buying those foods that you enjoy. And so, you know, taking advantage of coupons and flyers and the Flip app, so you can really save a lot of money over your 5-year tenure at university. I think secondly is really, if you're someone that doesn't eat a fruit or a vegetable, is just try one of them. Just try something that you think you might like. You know, there's no sense of not trying. So maybe your weekly goal is to try one vegetable or one fruit. Maybe your daily goal is to add one piece of protein to one of your meals, so what, chicken breast, eggs, or so forth. And I think another key philosophy and something that's easily said, not easily done, is try to eat the rainbow. And so I think that at the end of the day, if you could try, this is not eating Skittles, but if you could say that if you had a yellow vegetable, if you had maybe a blue fruit, or you had some like green vegetable as well, and really trying to get the rainbow in your diet every single day, that's going to really help you to promote optimal health and performance. And so those are some key really minimal surface level things that someone can do to help with their nutrition and ultimately their performance. So revising that, okay, so, you know, understanding grocery store, getting, you know, meal prep stuff in terms of flyers, Flip app, things like that. Secondly, what I mentioned was eating trying to add and incorporate something new. So whether that's a new fruit or a vegetable on a weekly basis. And then thirdly, just trying to eat all varieties, so different colors in accordance to the rainbow. I think it's super, super easy analogy. And it's worth a shot trying to obtain.
Nice. Are there like any, like I feel like I know the answers, but are there any like kind of real like meals that like really stick out in terms of really people want to improve their performance? For example, I know like chicken and salmon, like really favorable ones that people love to use. Based off your experience, what foods have worked for you personally and other clients that you had that really helped to improve the performance of the athletes?
My go-to, man, would best be like a smoothie. I think smoothies for like you like smoothies? I think those are super easily attainable, and you can make them taste relatively well. And so I think that would be my one suggestion to the student athlete body, was that you can get some fruits in there, whether it's mixed berries or blueberries or strawberries. You add a liquid in there. It could be milk, it could be water. I tend to stay away from juice, but in this case, maybe add some type of liquid in. And then I always try to add like a handful of spinach or kale. I know it seems daunting, but it really is. You can't taste it in a smoothie. Yeah, and so I always try to add a little bit of greens in there, so like smoothie or spinach or kale in the smoothie. Okay. And then we can start getting maybe a little bit more. So I add a protein powder, whether it's a vegan protein powder or an animal-based protein powder, just because we're all athletes and we want to make sure that we want to obtain our protein needs. And then you can get a little bit fancy with it, right? You can add, maybe some flaxseed or chia seeds or hemp hearts or wherever you may be. But that's kind of like that next level. But overall, smoothie, can't go wrong with that. You get a good serving of fruits, maybe a serving of vegetables, like I've mentioned, and you get some good protein in there as well.
I have a really important question, because we talked about this on another episode earlier this season about body fat. So a lot of people, I've seen this a lot, and we talked about this, a lot of people, when they want to lose, say, belly fat, a lot of people are really impatient with losing belly fat. So they'll try to work out for maybe a week, do crunches, whatever the case may be. And they're thinking like, man, why am I not losing weight? I'm glad that you're here, because I wanted to ask this. I wanted you to confirm to see if it's true or not. What I read was, if you were trying to say lose body fat, you're trying to use belly fat, you'll lose fat, but you're going to lose in other places of your body first before your stomach, because I heard that your stomach fat cells like the most stubborn fat cells in your body. So I've seen, for example, like people will lose weight like in their face, their biceps, their arms, their legs, but the last place that they'll lose body fat will be in their stomach. Is that true?
I can't say for certain, because I think from like a biological perspective that everyone has different places where they store and hold fat, right? So you and I are different. I might store fat on my hips and on my, the sides of the back of my obliques. Maybe you hold it in your biceps and in your face. I'm not sure, but I think that everyone is a unique case, and I think it takes, it takes a little bit more investigating than that. But although, if we talk about losing body fat, if I will, it's yet again a very holistic picture. We have to make sure that we're staying hydrated. We're getting, at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep, that we're, following some type of an exercise regime, as well as, looking at some of our nutritional principles, such as eating like a whole foods type diet. So lots of factors play into that, in our ability to lose stomach fat and things like that.
Yeah. The final question I have is for you, right? And before we get to cricketers, mental health is a really important aspect of being an athlete. And currently we're seeing a lot of stuff going on, with Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka. A lot of people are kind of bashing, especially Simone Biles, just because of, like she said she needs to take a step back. The same with Naomi Osaka. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they're the biggest quitter in sports, they're this, they're that. Like, as someone who wants to play sports, as someone who's currently playing sport, who's a student athlete, just talk for the person that right now that doesn't know sport, doesn't understand. Just talk about how vital the mental health aspect it is to sports, and also just since your food, your nutrition background, just talk a bit about how the mental aspect of the game can also kind of affect your food choices.
I think that the way that I'll answer this question is that, in my perspective, sport has really just helped me with my mental health through its ability for me to be able to relate to others in a group. I find that just that ability to have people of like-minded nature, people that are supportive, are on the same goal, has helped me to maintain a positive mental health. I'm not one to speak about mental health because I think that I haven't had a specific instance where I've struggled with mental health. So it's hard for me to speak about it, right? I've dealt with a little bit of anxiety, and I've been able to help. I seeked out a social support worker, and spoke a little bit about that. But I think that some of the best people to speak about mental health is the ones that have actually been with it, because it's really hard for me to empathize what it's like to have depression or things like this, because I haven't yet experienced that. All I can really say for those individuals that might not be in the sport field is that sport has allowed me, exercise has allowed me to relate to other people, and has provided me with support and networks that allow me to be the best version of myself. And when I had a bad game that I might feel a little bit anxious, that I've been able to talk to my coach, I've been able to talk to my teammates, and they've really helped me and supported me through those times where I'm feeling doubtful in myself, and things like that. And the whole topic about mental health and nutrition would be a podcast on its own. So the best kind of advice that I could give would just be, at the end of the day, can you answer this question? And could you say that you ate more whole foods compared to refined foods and packages and things like that are high in sugars and fats? And more, you can say that, I ate some vegetables, I ate some fruits, I ate some fatty fish such as salmon that is really good for the brain and the cardiovascular system. That you're doing yourself favors and that you're in the right direction, right? So, without tapping into the specific construct of nutrition, just to keep it surface level, that's kind of where I'm at with the talk on mental health and athletic performance, as well as just sports in general.
Well, Cameron, I really enjoyed this conversation. It's really great to have you on. So thank you so much for coming on. So now I'm getting to a quick hitter segment. So this is the part of the podcast where us gets a question and to answer as fast as possible. So Jason, on this episode, so I will be writing solo for this one. But Cameron, these are pretty simple questions, nothing crazy, but just do the best you can, okay?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So Cameron, first question, who is your favorite musical artist?
Oh my gosh. Let's say Drake.
Oh, okay. Whoa, okay. Artist or song on repeat right now for you?
Oh, it's a German rap song. It's called, I have to look it up. It's called Roller by Apache 207. It's a German rap song.
Okay.
Fire.
Okay. All-time favorite album?
I don't think I have one. I don't think I have a favorite album. I just kind of listen to singles.
Okay. Favorite athletes?
Honestly, after watching the Michael Jordan documentary, I think that was pretty amazing. I'm very independent in my yeah. We'll say Michael Jordan.
Okay. Last show you binge watched?
Oh, Formula One on Netflix. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's the F1 series. It was pretty sweet. Yeah.
People keep telling me to watch Outer Banks. I gotta check out Outer Banks. The last year was All American. I got hooked onto All American, so I'm waiting for season 4. Hopefully by the time this comes out, season 4 is out. But yeah, people keep telling me to watch Outer Banks. Have you watched that show or heard about it? Or
I heard about it today. I heard it. Yeah, I think it's okay. I just heard it. It was from a friend. So
I gotta check it out. But
yeah, I don't like binge watch. So the Netflix thing though, like when I start a series, like I can't stop watching it. It's like addiction. It's like,
yeah, me too. I'm very addicted. Me too.
And so I try to not start series because like the F1 series, I finished in like 4 days.
Yeah,
and it's like 30 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
Oh, well, hey, man. Hey, if the show's fire, I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah, we're athletes. We're not supposed to be on Netflix. You know, we're supposed to be in the gym. I'm
hey,
joking.
man.
That's a.
Hey,
I'm
man.
joking.
If you could spend a day with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Definitely my girlfriend Avery.
Oh.
My
This is a personal question for me. So, girlfriend said yes. So, I hope you say yes too. Do you like pineapple on your pizza?
No, I can't. I don't. I can't do it.
What? She said
Yeah,
yes
no,
and you said no? Whoa.
she's a weird one. She's the weird one. For some reason, pizza is meant to be like salty and like I don't know,
If
and
the
then you
food
throw
is
a
salty,
pineapple on.
it's different.
See, it's different.
It is
No,
different.
I've like if I have a pizza, like I'm getting like just like I just like it, greasy and cheesy.
Okay.
And the ones from arugula are bomb. I don't know if you had arugula pizza, but like there's like a chicken spaghetti, I think, with like pesto and chicken and oh my gosh, man,
Oh, damn.
that slaps.
Okay,
Oh,
so
man.
we finally got someone on the podcast to say this. So, milk before cereal or cereal before milk?
It really depends. Like I think I'm always. It's different on the day. It depends, but I would have to say cereal before the milk.
Okay.
What do you
Okay.
do?
Milk
What do you do?
first.
Milk, really? But
And
then you
microwave. And
splash.
microwave.
But you splash the milk when you put
No, that's
your
what I'm saying.
oat.
I've done it for so long, and people say, "How do you know how much milk to like put in a bowl?" I'm like, Justin, when you do it for like 15 years, like or like 10 years, like you just know.
Okay, then if you were to make a smoothie, is it protein before liquid?
I usually put the liquid first and then put the protein, but
Okay,
the last couple of days I have been putting the protein for just because sometimes because I use a magic bullet, so there'll be
okay.
times where like it kind of overflows. So like I'm trying to see like what works.
That's like a process of like trying to find the perfect balance
Yeah,
on the smoothie.
yeah, exactly.
I've been there. I've been there.
Exactly. Next question. What's a song that you'll never forget the lyrics to?
Damn. These are tough. I didn't know there was going to be so music heavy. Man, I can't think. I honestly couldn't. I have to look in my phone right now on my Spotify. Hold on. Excuse Me, Miss. Yo, Excuse Me, Miss by Chris Brown.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
I like that album. I love Run It and Give Me That. The Lil Wayne remix.
Yeah.
Next question. This is one we added this season. If you had to stay on a deserted island, what 3 things are you taking with you?
Woo. Gotta have water.
Mm-hmm.
Or unless like, yeah, I mean, do you get a pump or do you get like oh, so you'd have to have water.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Water, I'm thinking of this from a survival mode. Water. Fire.
Okay.
Have some type of fire.
Okay. Person.
And a fishing rod.
Okay. That's pretty clever. Next question. What's one skill you wish you were good at?
Oh man, I want to be a good singer and a dancer.
Me
like
too.
I wish I could.
Me too.
I wish I could do that so badly. Imagine just being able to be so rhythmic and like, yeah. You know what? Have you ever seen Step Up 2?
I have not, but I've heard of it though. I've heard of it.
Oh, and like imagine like being at the club or being at the boat or whatever in North Bay. A song comes on and then you like break down a freestyle and everyone's just surrounded you in a circle and you're just like,
yeah. There's actually a movie I watched in the summertime. My brother put me on. It's called You Got Served. It had like the members of B2K in there. This is like back in like 2004. So like that's a pretty good movie called You Got Served. Same thing, like dance crew, people surrounding, everyone doing pop and lock, and like it's actually pretty cool.
So cool.
It's cool. But now Chris Brown is
so dancing or singing? Dancing or singing? Would you rather
singing, hands down.
Okay.
I can dance a little bit, but singing hands down.
Okay.
Hands down. And that is our most popular answer too. So this one is usually Jason's question, but I'm gonna do the best I can explain it. So say you're in an alternate universe, saying you, like different timeline, like if you weren't doing what you're doing currently, what would you be doing?
I'm kind of living my best life right now, Tejan. I'm doing like, you know, I feel like maybe I'll play a different sport. Maybe I'll be like a different sport. Like maybe playing basketball. I love basketball, to be honest, or baseball. So yeah, I think I'd be in a different, you know, sport.
I like that. Final question. And this is another song question. Sorry, but if you did write a song about your life, which famous artist would you want singing it?
Wow. Dude, that's a good question. I like female art. I like female vocalists.
Yeah.
That's a little hint. Oh man. It had to be super energetic.
Like a pop singer, if it's like Lady Gaga.
Yeah, like a pop.
Spears.
Yeah. Definitely super energetic. Sorry, these are not quick answers because these are like difficult to answer.
Like if you want you got Cyndi Lauper, Christina Aguilera, like you got a lot of options.
Maybe Christina Aguilera, like she can really hit some notes.
Yeah. Her
she's fire.
And she's one of those people I've said before that don't need like vocal like editing, like her, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, those are like singers. Like they don't need all this vocal editing, like or auto-tune.
Maybe Christina Aguilera. I think she has some good tunes.
I think it's a good answer. I like that answer. But that's all the time we have. So Cameron, man, I really enjoyed having you on to talk about nutrition. Thank you so much for coming on and making time out of your busy schedule. I really, really appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Thank you, Tejan, for having me. And I look forward to having future conversations. For sure. If you ever want to tap into nutrition and have a podcast on nutrition or athlete specific stuff, I'd be more than happy to support you and the Lakers family and speak about some of that stuff.
No doubt.
Thank you very much.
No doubt. I'll definitely take your on. I appreciate it, man. And that's a wrap on another edition of the Lakers Locker Room. I want to thank our guest, Cameron Branch, for joining us. You can find the videos interview on YouTube and listen to the full interview on all podcast streaming platforms. Thanks, Cameron.
You're welcome, Tejan. Thank you.